I hope this year's not like that. But last year, so many devotees, you heard about them leaving the body. And how the community of devotees came forward and helped them to remember Krishna. Chanted Hare Krishna with them. Sometimes it's children coming and helping their parents. Just a few days ago, one devotee told me how I went home, and the mother is not really like a devotee, but she was in her hospital. Doctor said, it's your last, and then got her to read a verse from Bhagavad Gita. Gave her some Radhakunda water, Ganges water, the garland on her, and so many things, so that she could chant Hare Krishna and go back to Godhead. That's really fortunate they have. That's what they call Suputra. They have a good son or daughter who could help you at the time of death, or even after you die. They perform sraddha and do worship to Krishna and send the benefits of that to the deceased forefather. That was such an important thing that when, there's, what's his name? Vasu goes, Madhav goes, and what's the other brother? Three brothers? Govinda goes. Govinda Ghosh, when he was traveling with Lord Chaitanya, and then one time Lord Chaitanya stopped and would take prasadam, just like this time. Every day there's different invitations for me to take prasad somewhere. It's like a sannyasi role. Go and take prasadam, accept invitations. And so Lord Chaitanya took invitations, and then one day they gave him so much prasadam, he was feeling like a little overdosed, and then he told Govinda Ghosh to get me some, who was the secretary, get me some haritaki. You've heard of Triphala probably. Triphala is a very common Ayurvedic medicine. And Triphala has got 3 ingredients: amlaki, haritaki, and boida. At least in the Bengali pronunciation, I don't know, there's some other. So, haritaki or hartaki is special, astringent. The amlaki is sour. Each one's got different taste and different. So that balances the 3 dosha, the 3 elements in the body. So haritaki is very good for digestion. In fact, there's a Bengali saying that if you get haritaki in your stomach, it will always do good for you. But even a loving mother may mislead you. May do you harm, something like that. Meaning that haritaki is like always good, but sometimes, just like you hear mothers tell their children, you gotta eat meat, if they're not devotees, maybe it's for your health, They're loving, they just don't have that proper fund of knowledge, so what they're doing is actually not the best thing. It's just like that, the scripture, it's always good for us. Whatever the scripture said is never bad. So everything we do, even if it's told by our loved one, we should balance it. Is it said in Shastra? Even the Guru, he can't just say anything. Even if he's Guru, that may be his responsibility. But everything he says, he has to also back up with Shastra. The Guru, he or she, has to give knowledge according to Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. So Govinda Ghosh, anyway, he went in the village and got some haritaki, brought back to Lord Chaitanya, and he chewed out a little bit, and then it's very good for his digestion. So then his stomach ache was over. They were traveling. Next day they were on Agradweep, a little island, about 25-30 kilometers north of Mayapur. And again, Lord Chaitanya, after the lunch, he said, I think the more haritaki, it's good for digestion. This time, Govinda Ghosh took a few seconds and pulled out of his bag some Haritaki and gave it to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said, what happened? Yesterday took a half hour to get Haritaki, now it just took you 2 seconds. So I figured you might need it, again. So I kept a few. You kept for the next day. This is not the mood of a sannyasi to think of the future. We have to totally depend on Krishna every day, fresh. So because you have this accumulating mentality, you want to save for the future, you belong in the Grihastha ashram. Because you don't want to depend on Krishna, you want to depend on yourself, therefore you have to be a Grihastha. And you can save and you can accumulate and you can protect yourself. And he's like, here's Jesus, Brahmachari helping Lord Chaitanya, and all of a sudden for one Haritaki he was, resigned to Grihastha ashram fate, whatever. It shows what, I carry around with that much medicine, vitamins and things, digestive aids, Isham gold, diuretics, I got a home. Every possible thing that could happen. We're not just that kind of sannyasi that Lord Chaitanya is. You don't get these medicines in the West. Haritaki, You go imagine going into the local drugstore and eat some Haritaki. What's wrong with your Taki? Taki who? Kentucky? But it was like some kind of divine lila, and but he accepted, watch it in the bag, no, but Lord, no, you have to do it. So then he accepted order of Guru. So he gets married and has a son, and he's worshipping Gopinath deity, beautiful Gopinath deity. This deity is still there today. How many seen a Gopinath and Agrodweep? Yeah. What do you think, Mahamaya? So then, by the will of Providence, the wife died. Had some illness, a snake bite or something, I think snake bite. She was lamenting, So anyway, I got a son. Then the son died. So then, Govinda Ghosh became like, really? What was it all for? Why did Lord Chaitanya have me get married? And then I thought, maybe I'm not qualified to be a sannyasi, I get married. When I die, my son could perform the sraddha for me. So I get like it's like a escape clause, like some kind of a contingency plan if all else fails. And I really end up in some hellish condition because of my attachment to Krishna, to Maya. Then at least my children, they'll be Krishna conscious, and my son or daughter, they can perform this ceremony for me. And I get the spiritual benefits. It says, and it mentions that this is one of the main reasons that one should have children in Grihastha life. It's a legitimate reason that Krishna consciously, you bring them up to be such nice devotees that then, in reciprocation, when you die, every year on your death anniversary, they'll perform the sraddha ceremony and send you like a birthday present. They're sending you like a little present of Krishna Prasad every year. When you really need it. Someone might be just, all of a sudden, captured by some terrorist, and then, they don't know what, they're just ready to chop off their head or something. All of a sudden, the son offers this little prasadam from the previous life, and does the sraddha, and just as the guy's ready to chop, the rescue team came in, because the prasad just didn't on time. dramatizing a little bit. So, one completely gets saved from that birth and goes to a much higher birth, goes to promotion, some animal kingdom or something. Okay, back to human life. Who knows where we end up? So that's it's a very authorized concern for having children. So Govinda Ghosh, he thought that somehow, he was very humble devotee and he's worshipping his deity, but he's thinking, I wasn't qualified to be a sannyasi, and I took grihastha life, and I couldn't do that right. Somehow, I don't have a wife, I don't have any children, and who's going to do the shraddha for me? And you got to go mentally, What if I end up in some hellish birth, and then who's going to help me? And so in this kind of depression that he got into, his anxiety, he neglected his deity worship. So the Gopinath deity one day said, look at what's wrong with you? Why are you not doing your service on time? I'm not getting prasad like I used to, and things are off time. And Govinda Ghosh didn't even think twice that his deity is talking to him. He says, I'm very foreign. And I lost my wife and my son. I said, I'm your son, I'm here, what's the problem? I'm here. Yeah, but you're a son also, but you're not going to do the shraddha ceremony for me. When I die, what if I end up in some hellish place? And who's gonna be there to do that for me? He said, if I do it for you, will you do my service properly then? I'll do it for you. Tell them, So then, call all the village leaders. So they call all the village leaders, and it's recorded in the village diary that the deity spoke to everyone that I have accepted Govinda Ghosh as my father, and I'm his son. And so at his death anniversary, whenever he dies, I should be taken to his tomb, where I will perform his shraddha ceremony. And everyone's hearing the deity say, they wrote it down in the village book. And so then Govinda Ghosh, so it's like somehow this whole thing happened to perpetuate. And we went to this place and we actually saw the deity performing the ceremony one year on safaris. I don't know if you were there that year, but we went there twice, and one year we actually went there on the exact date. And it was so amazing to see them bring the Gopinath deity over to Govinda Ghosh's Samadhi tomb, temple. And somehow it was like Krishna's mercy that the head pujari was friendly to me, and he grabbed me and took me inside the room. And one of the secretaries, somewhere we got that on video. And they do the whole ceremony just like you do for a son, for his father. And they take the sesame seeds and they hold it over Gopinath, the hand falls down, and called pindis, and they land on the banana leaf, and they chant the mantras. And outside there's about 10 million people. I don't know how many people, there's like 100,000 people, literally, all wanting to see this ceremony, and there's 2 little windows and a door. And it's like, I talked to him one year, we'll build railings, so people can go like in the way, the American way, they go by through the window, see the ceremony going on. Because instead there was this one lady holding up the window, and she was just there like watching the ceremony, and there's other ladies behind grabbing her by the ear. It was like roller derby, I couldn't believe it. The thing going on to get in that window, there was people, there was no holds barred, free form fighting. I mean, it was unbelievable. People were so passionate to see this going on. At the end of it, my secretary showed me in his watch he had somebody's scalp. I mean, he didn't know how it happened, but he was just holding on the door, and people trying to pull him out. But somehow I was in the peace zone. I was right inside I was there in the eye of the storm. And I was just so mad, I was just looking at Gopinath, and someone told me that when this ceremony goes on, he changes color. I was trying to see, does he change color? It turns white. And I don't know, I may have blinked, but I didn't see that particular, but I saw a whole change of vibration in that room, and it was just like, it was a very personal thing. It was just like, I don't have any words to explain. At that moment, I thought I was like the most fortunate person in the three worlds to be here at this time, at this moment, at this ceremony. Just remembering it, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know if I could go on. But that all happened, because, so that gives kind of a background into the whole, I guess I'm going over now, into the whole heritage and how Lord Chaitanya's pastimes kind of utilize that in a particular way. So, Govinda Ghosh, obviously, he's such an eternal liberated soul. There was really no fear, but he was so humble, even though he was so advanced devotee, he was very humble, kind of like neophytes were thinking, I got nothing to worry about, who's my head? But here he is such a liberated soul, he's talking to his deity, but he's worrying about Maya. It shows us, it's a real role example. And then this whole pastime, it's still going on. Every single year it goes on, and there's so many people, there's hundreds of thousands of people come for this festival, including pickpockets and all kinds of people. Whenever you get a big crowd in India, all kinds of people come, but that's the whole main theme, is this deity coming to do this ceremony. In fact, the owner of this temple is a king, and he owns 12 temples. He never went to see the temple. I think he's an atheist. And he wants to sell these temples to us. But he wants a lot of money. So he'll sell all of his temples, he's going to buy them all at one shot, 12 temples. Harihar Khetra, Gopinath Temple, Krishnanagar King. Anybody like to support, raise some, get some really sacred places. I don't have the luxury. You can bargain them down. But so anyway, Puranjana, he's at that state of life where he's leaving, and he's not talking to his deities, but he's just worrying about his family members. And devotees, so we have to be ready that in helping others, we're not here, we have to never forget that even though the body gets sick, or the body's emaciated, or the body's... we're not the body, and this is sometimes, sooner or later, we do have to go. We never know exactly when. And so at that time, it's important that we let our life as Krishna conscious as we could. We did what we could. We never know what the plan of Krishna is. We didn't know, the ghost didn't know what the plan of Lord Chaitanya was, but now every year, thousands and hundreds of thousands of people are going to his festival for 500 years, continuous. So maybe he had to go through that bit of trauma in order to have a much higher result of this Leela, that people realize that Gopinath is not just, it's Krishna himself. He's there, he's the deity avatar. He spoke these things and he's doing this Leela. So we don't know what the higher purpose of the Lord is, but we try to surrender to that and be Krishna conscious in all circumstances. And if we are, when we leave this body, then we transfer from this dimension back to the eternal dimension. In fact, while we're living in Krishna's service, we're already living in the eternal dimension, just that we're visibly here. But it says that the devas, they can see a Krishna conscious devotee already having 4 hands or 2 hands according to their eternal form. They see they're already their spiritual form forming, manifesting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Any question? Yes?
This year we had Krishna Goswami passing away. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Are there views on that?
Well, hard to know what to say, because it's very much an emotional issue. To lose one's association is so near and dear. It's very kind of traumatic in one sense. I know when I was there when in the rescue team, but we were nothing to rescue. To rescue his body, we couldn't rescue his. Couldn't do anything to help. He'd already left by the time we got there. And but after hearing everything, it just seemed that it was definitely some kind of a higher plan. Because there wasn't really any reason why this should happen from a material reason. And some of the rumors that the driver came late at night and was very tired, that Aga, what's his name? Agavit confirmed that he came at midday and he'd had a normal sleep at night, so I really don't know why this would happen. One devotee said he had some kind of a dream or vision of Prabhupada taking him back. So it's that makes you don't know how long does anyone. None of us have here. How long does Krishna want us to do service here? We're just working on that presumption we'll be here for the next period of time, but you never know how long. What Krishna's plan is, if there's some other work we have to do somewhere else. Certainly we thought Prabhupada should have stayed much longer. We could have used a lot more of this association, but there's so much service that has to be done in other places that the next generation is not going to grow up unless unless the person leaves. So I felt that there was something that was divinely orientated. And he had been in Mayapur. I showed you some slides last night, how he was so relaxed with all the devotees. He was going to the Ganges every day. He was doing kirtans in the night. He was coming and lecturing on the stage. He was very active in the GBC meetings. He was contributing. He was talking about how much he became very attached to Mayapur. And he wanted to, when he got his PhD in a few months, he was going to come and work on setting up the university. I mean, from an external point of view, it was like the worst possible time and the biggest loss, because there was so much he could have been doing now. Everything was preparation all these past years with his education. Sometimes we make a plan, I'm going to get an education and use it for Krishna. We don't even know if we're long enough to do that. So it's, sure if he knew this was the time he was leaving, now he would have readjusted his schedule. But so. Well, everybody felt that he was, even in his departure, he was serving to unify the devotees. I think there was a tremendous unity amongst all the devotees, and everyone felt such a very deep separation. Started to value the association of all the other Vaishnavas much more. Knowing how valuable it is. It's not a permanent commodity. We're not guaranteed we're going to have it all the time. Use it while it's there. And that was so many lessons. And this next year, Mayapur would like to dedicate the festival to Tamal Krishna Goswami, since he And especially because his departing message was that we should really do a lot more hearing and chanting. We should do a lot of kirtan. So they're going to have kirtan as a main program next year. They can get through all the hurdles of the scheduling. They want to cut down our festival to practically 5 days and no chance for hearing and chanting. So I don't know what's that's going to turn out, but if we get a decent period of time, we can have a lot more hearing and chanting and go deeper and deeper into it. I'm very glad that I had that association before, but it was very shocking to have to deal with his Bapu without his Atmanit service. Somewhere. When I joined in San Francisco, he was there, and then I had more association with China. But from India, 1970 on, he was there. He was my GDC. I was the temple president. We were together in Mayapur, we were together then on the Mayapur project. We were building the first buildings together. Sometimes we would ride on the trucks together. And all these years, so lost a very dear friend and companion in Krishna consciousness. Same time, we know that he's definitely under Krishna's shelter. He was chanting his japa and left it. Then the message, why did he leave in Haridas Thakur's bhajan place? His last message was to chant Hare Krishna. Deeply chant, not just like chant for a few hours. Then he leaves in Haridas Thakur place where he was chanting in his, for a long time, the Fulia, in the cave. So many questions, and I wonder, why did he have to leave so early? His flight wasn't at 8:15, it only takes 2 hours to get to the airport. Could have gone real slow, could have gone... I don't want to ride in a sumo, they've got these cars, sumo. I'd rather ride in some other car. But all these things are kind of like superficial. But definitely devotees, if there's any other message, just, we should just drive carefully and not rush. He's usually so meticulous, so everything, so careful. Doesn't speed or anything. So everyone came to the conclusion that something like this has to be a divine intervention for some reason which we don't know. We're playing in this particular playing field. So you never know how long you're going to have the people that are with us. So we better be as Krishna conscious as we can while we're here, so that then we can be together with Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, last one.
Maharaj, I was wondering if you would share the story said in Alachua about when you visited Krishna's body and was he was a resident of Shantipur.
Well, when people, somehow everybody just came to know, the local villagers came to know that a sadhu, a devotee had passed away. So there was about 200 to 300 people gathered So when we put the body and we put Tamal Krishna's Vapu in the Sankirtan vehicle to take him back to Mayapur, it was like the gopis stopping Krishna. They wouldn't let the vehicle go. They were lying in front, they were holding it, said, we won't let you go. We'll die, but we're not going to let you go. We want to, until we can see this, because we have his face covered. So we want to have a last darshan. We've been waiting here all day long. All we want is just 1 minute. And there was, some of our ISKCON sannyasi, they weren't very protective, and maybe it doesn't look so good, it's like, They said, we don't care, we want to see him. And they were just like fanatical about it. And they came to me and I negotiated with them and they said, look, we let him show his feet, we go to his feet, we want to see the face. Show us the face or we don't let you go. So finally then there was really nothing you could negotiate. It was not. So then they showed his face. And immediately they all bowed down. I mean, they're actually all just devotees, but they all bowed down and they just, prayed with their folded hands and they were crying, many of them. They didn't know him. I mean, they're just people from the village. They're just, local. But they were so much respectful and so devotional. Maybe they were David or something. I don't know, they're just to see the last darshan. And they paid their obeisances. And then they all backed off and said, okay, thank you. That's all we want. Dixie for about an hour, half hour, there was this big struggle. Just 1 second, it was all solved. So how much potency Tamal Krishna Goswami had even after he died to inspire so many people.
Vishnu's going to have a lot of Shraddha ceremonies.
Yeah, I don't think he needs that. But a lot of Tirubhav. Yeah, he'll get lots of prasad offerings. In fact, they want to finish his Samadhi temple this year and have it inaugurated by next year, Gaur Purnima. Something to come for it. I'm here still till Wednesday afternoon in case anybody has any more questions. Anything I can do to serve you. Hare Krishna.
You get on these big rafts here, you're right on the bed of the truck.
Okay, in the bed of the truck.
Bed of the truck.
Tírala allá en el truck. Ese también, ese allá también.
Is that okay? I just hooked it to the handle.
That works.
What would you do if Gore got left behind?
Allez, go! Se van todos.
It's supposed to be a regular bus.
How in the car?
Oh, this is...
No, they are going to take at least. They're back. Oh, come on. They're back. Mom. Oh, good one. Dad. Mom. Lead us off if you don't get first. Mom. They seem to come back.
No me muevas, no me muevas.
You come here!
Hey, close it. Close it.
Put it with the bottom.
No problem, no problem.
Don't
Careful. Hey, what is that?
Krishna!
Here.
Oh God, this is hard.
Here. Prabhu.
One minute. Let this pass. You know it's very hard. As it's going so fast.
Take it. Okay, now.
You didn't say anything. You gotta say Jaya.
Yeah, it's ours.
Guru Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, let's pass the
You have to say it later.
Let's cross the street.
No.
Hey, what is the other ball?
You have to say it later.
Buena, Nelson. Okay, now move.
May I hold on to your boat? Yes, thank you. First of all, you can reach the bottom anyways. Yeah, but why is it? What did I say?
No, it's through. Say Hare Krishna. Here.
Ariel!
Hey, slow. No do. It's going to the hole.
Okay, Chitra, I need to... Guru Maharaj ki jai!
No se mojen los gorros.
Madre.
Jaya tranquila, jai! Guru Maharaj visiting in Alachua aquí, jai!
Stop, Harley. You got the rudder there. Adi, back here.
I can help you with one.
Ya no sumo que.
Puedo agarrarle al negro, arranca acá.
Wait. Brenda.
Ay, yo no quiero.
Hare Krishna.
Let's get out.
Hey, get out, hey. Arriba.
This one?
Yeah, yes. Okay. Ask him. No.
Vamos.
Okay. Va. No más. Straight.
One more, right?
Straight now. Yes. Más.
Podemos, porque el capitán que tenemos es un desastre.
Mire, las sirvientas.
No hay manera de hacerlo. Donde vayamos.
Quickly. Chalo. Chalo, bye. La madre es muy rápida. Hare Krishna.
Krishna! Dale! Sí, Italia! No, you can't start. Give me you guys, you got to throw in the middle. If you have glasses, you can see fish and everything.
Hi, Mom.
Hey.
Yeah, North
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadhi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvashe Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Daita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Daita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Daita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Mukha karoti vachalam pangor langayate giring. Yat kripa tamahang bande si gurung dinatarinang. Paramananda madhavam si chaitanya ismaram. Chaitanya returned back to Jagannath Puri. Then immediately the message of his return was sent to Navadvip Dham in Bengal, and all the devotees became very ecstatic that the Lord had returned, and so they all were making plans to come for the Ratha Yatra festival. At that time, Paramananda Puri, who was godbrother of Ishwar Puri, sannyasi godbrother, he at the time was staying at the house of Lord Chaitanya, taking prasadam cooked by Mother Sachi, and sharing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Then he got the message also. Saw how Mother Sachi was so happy to hear that Lord Chaitanya had returned. So then Paramananda Puri, he didn't want to wait for the whole party to go. He'd been traveling all over India. So then he went down immediately with one servant and quickly reached Jagannath Puri. When he reached Jagannath Puri, then Lord Chaitanya was very happy. Since Lord Chaitanya was disciple of his godbrother, therefore he showed him respect like one would show a guru, and offered him obeisances. But Paramananda Puri, then he picked him up, he embraced Lord Chaitanya out of his natural affection, and they were both filled with transcendental ecstasy. Then Lord Chaitanya requested Paramananda Puri that you're traveling all over. If you can please base yourself, stay here now in Jagannath Puri so I can get your association. I'll be very happy. And then Paramananda Puri admitted, actually I was in Bengal and the news came that you had arrived in Jagannath Puri, So all the devotees are getting prepared to come down here. But I didn't want to wait, so I just came ahead. So it was also my desire to be at your association, so I'll be very happy to stay here. And Lord Chaitanya had a place at Kashi Mishra's house arranged, which is also where Lord Chaitanya was staying. And Paramananda Puri and one Kamalaksha Pandit or something was given to him as a servant. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Paramananda Puri, they had a very special relationship like this. And Lord Chaitanya was demonstrating how much love and affection he had for so many different devotees. Some were apparently in relationships superior to him, and some maybe a bit junior to him. It was just to maintain the etiquette, since he's a preacher and a devotee, so he's maintaining the etiquette. But actually there was this deep love for all of his very dear devotees. So it's Chaitanya Charitamrita is considered a postgraduate study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's showing us the practical application of pure devotion in Krishna's service, as Lord Chaitanya exchanged it with his different devotees. Here where we're a community of devotees, we can see how important it is, this natural affection between devotees. It was simply based on desire to please Krishna and pure love. There was no mundane cause. So we have here some interesting translation from a newsletter published over a century ago by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The Godrum Kalpatavi, which is his newsletter that he sent out to the congregational preachers, to the congregation, to enthuse them for preaching. So in our congregational preaching journal, we've been serializing a commentary of this Godrum Kalpatavi. And I thought today also to read the next section and give the commentary here. This is section 6. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes the congregational devotees as Namhad employees. Namhad is the marketplace of the holy name. So all those who are actively practicing Krishna consciousness and propagating it, so they're part of Lord Nityananda's market. So for those who are the active, especially those who are propagating it, spreading it, preaching it, they were the employees. So there may be many customers, but those especially who are marketing it, they're the employees. Here in the West they call these sometimes flea markets or heart is interesting. In India you see so many hearts. It's like a very big bazaar that spontaneously gathers. Everyone brings their goods and they all come together and they start selling their goods. Some people are very big merchants, some people are very small merchants, and some people are just sitting with a basket and selling, or a bag. In a hut, say you have a house garden and you cook and you grew a few 2 kilos of extra tomatoes or something. You could take it to the hut and you can sell them. I mean, there's the big merchants who bring in truckloads or bullock carts. So it's a free market. All the salespeople can go big and small and trade. Some people trade their goods. So, advice for Namhad employees. Each Namhad employee should practice chanting the holy name as much as he can, and have spontaneous affection for it. One should introduce himself as the most humble servant of their lordship, Sri Sri Gauranga. Gauranga! Gauranga! Nityananda! Nityananda! Advaita! Advaita! Gadadhar! Gadadhar! Srivas! Srivas! He should try to endow himself with meekness, mercy, tolerance, pridelessness, and respect for all living entities. The preaching of the name shall be performed with kol and kartal. You know what kol means? Mridanga. Kartal everyone knows. Accompanied by favorable discussion and public lectures. All at the time of chanting, one may dance in ecstasy. It's allowed. Yeah. The singing of the glories of the holy name and dancing in ecstasy should correspond to the devotee's spontaneous emotion, and not just according to the tempo, beat and tune. One should avoid excessive preoccupation with musical tune and beat. The music and tune should have an effect on the hearts of the listeners, similar to the action of borax in the melting of gold. It is good to express one's feelings for the Lord through song and dance according to one's natural rising of transcendental emotions. The behavior of irreligious people in displaying these emotions is not required. It should be avoided. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said many things in his one paragraph. We should chant the holy name as much as we can. It's a very good prescription. Lord Chaitanya said, Kirtaniya Sadahari. Always chant. So here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining that means we should chant as much as we can. If feasible, always. And have a spontaneous affection for it. If we're able to spontaneously feel affection for the chanting, that's very good. It's something that develops in devotees naturally. This is in comparison. We find, of course, that there are some people who mechanically chant and simply do it as a rule or regulation. So that won't be as good as if we have developed a natural affection for it. Now here also it states how we should introduce ourselves. It said everyone is a humble servant of the Panchatattva. Introduce oneself as a humble servant, most humble servant of the Panchatattva. Panchatattva is so great. If we think about their great qualities, it's not hard to be humble. The lack of humility comes when we have an overestimation about our worth. What we really want to be is nimitta mahatrena. We want to be instruments in the hands of the Panchatattva. And therefore, even though we are not worthy of it, so by one presenting as a very most humble representative of the Panchatattva, we're hoping to invoke the Lord's mercy, that the Lordship's mercy would, the Lord mercy would flow through the devotee. One should endow himself with good qualities. What are these good qualities? Meekness. To give the credit to others, not being desirous of any kind of aggrandizement or praise. Meekness is appreciated here. Mercy, to want to help others in their Krishna consciousness, to be merciful. With mercy then comes next is tolerance. In order to give mercy to conditioned souls, it's like being, as Prabhupada says, spiritual doctor. So if one is intolerant of disease, it would be very hard to treat people. Prabhupada used that quote, to hate the disease, not the diseased. We see an aberration, we don't want to put the people in that condition, put them off in some box that this people are like that. How we can help them. Prabhupada was very tolerant. In order to facilitate people to chant and associate. Pridelessness. And respect for all living entities. Very hard build. Right? This attitude is not very visible in the modern world. Meekness might be considered weakness rather than inner strength. To be prideless and whatever one, even if one's able to do something, we give all the credit to Guru and Krishna. Don't expect any credit for oneself, for the other team members. Let them have the credit. Respect for all living entities. That's quite amazing. It doesn't even say respect just for all human beings. Respecting all the living entities. B. Perform with call and kartal, accompanied by favorable discussion and public lectures. Prescribed it for Namhata programs. It's not necessary to have any really big complicated paraphernalia. Madranga and kartals is enough. Favorable discussion and some discourse. In our Bhakti Riksha meetings, we try to have this discourse, short discourse, and then favorable discussion. In small groups, you can have favorable discussion. Easier, because people tend to open up more. Round table format. Bigger groups, you have discourse. So both the formats here are authorized. Sometimes you hear Lord Nityananda, he would be seated with his associates and they would be having spiritual discussion. Nanga Manjari was telling about Pishima. Here was someone who was a very meek devotee, very unassuming. She was disciple of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. She could have, she's Prabhupada's sister, so could have imposed herself. But she was a very meek person. She liked to serve. Her desire was to serve, especially she loved to cook for Srila Prabhupada. She could cook the things that we weren't allowed to cook. She could cook preparations with mustard oil, because she knew how to do it. So occasionally, Srila Prabhupada said he'd never eat mustard oil, he only eat the ghee. But occasionally, if she cooked something, she'd cook always with ghee, but one or two preps. In one prep, she might cook with mustard oil, some special prep. And then Prabhupada would say that this preparation was best cooked in mustard oil. It's an exception to the rule. Or one time, Srila Prabhupada, he had like diarrhea or dysentery. Even now devotees don't seem to be getting as much when they go to India, but occasionally it does happen. Even Prabhupada got it. So then we didn't know what to do, and we tried different Ayurvedic medicines. It wasn't exactly working. Then Pishima happened to come, and so he told Pishima that I want you to make me some hot puris and salt. So you wouldn't think that would cure a stomach problem. Right, I'm sure if we were to take hot puris, probably. By the way, Pishima somehow cooked these hot puris and served to Prabhupada piping hot, steaming. They sprinkled a little salt on them and it cured his dysentery. She had the magic touch. I was telling how Chutananda Maharaj, well, that time we were both brahmacharis, Chutananda Prabhu and myself, at that time we were staying in the Gaudiya Math. We were feeling very homesick from ISKCON, and we were just like refugees there because we had no ISKCON temple at that time in Calcutta. And somehow Pishima, she would send her son, Prabhupada's nephew, to invite us to come over for some prasad. And she had a beautiful altar of Radha and Krishna, small deities. The deities that Prabhupada worshipped when he was a child. Deities which later she gave to us. And she was just like a real, like a mother. Like she was really here we were kind of very distant. We felt very distant. No association we could relate with very well. And but so occasionally, maybe once a week or two, or I remember a few times we went to her house. We got the message, and then she prepared some amazing prasadam. This is like Chaitanya Charitamrita descriptions of prasad, unbelievable. Things that I never seen before. And now I've seen a couple of times after 32 years, but that time I'd never seen them for sure. Everything was totally new. And under her altar she had these pickles that she personally had made. At the end she'd pull out a sweet mango pickle, I remember. It was amazing. So she was like Prabhupada's mercy was flowing through her just to encourage us. So here we were on this unusual circumstance. And, pridelessness, we see in Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada how he always, anyone ask him, well, what is your secret for success? How could you have done that? He said, I'm just simply carrying out the order of my spiritual master. He didn't say that, because of my sadhana, or because of my tapasya, or because of my great learning, or because of this. So he always just said it, but because I'm just carrying out the order of my spiritual master, and by his mercy it's happening. He didn't take any personal independent credit. That he, although it was his initiative that he was carrying out the order of his spiritual master, but that was the secret of his success. That he didn't speculate, he didn't deviate from what Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted. Prabhupada liked this type of simple kirtan with mridanga and kartals, kol kartal. At the same time, for bhajans, they would use harmonium sometimes. Not everyone can play harmonium. But the essential kol and kartal, you had to play kol very nice. It's good during the kirtans that more people play kartals. The wampers don't sound good if there are no other kartals giving the high notes. Lord Chaitanya, when he went in the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya at Mangal Arti time, just after Mangal Arti, Sarvabhauma was late that day for Mangal Arti and was still in his bed. So Lord Chaitanya just appeared right in the bedroom with all of his, immediate associates. Good morning! Hare Krishna, of course. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya immediately paid his obeisances and this. Lord Chaitanya said, here we got the Maha Prasad from Lord Jagannath, from Mangal Arti. That particular day, the Mangal Arti sweets, whatever they offered to Jagannath, included cashews. So they gave cashews, offered cashews to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Immediately upon getting the cashews, Mahaprasad, he ate it. And Lord Chaitanya gave it to everyone, they all took. But then Lord Chaitanya asked Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that you didn't take your bath yet. You're in your bed. How you're eating? You didn't brush your teeth, you didn't bathe. But then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, this is an external rule for material things, but Mahaprasadam is beyond rules and regulations. And he quoted a verse that whenever you get Mahaprasad, without considering rules and regulations, you must take it immediately, without any discrimination. And then Lord Chaitanya, he was very happy. He said, because before he was a smarta, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he would just, follow the external rule and not really go deep into the bhakti aspect. But now he was showing that he had the higher principle in his mind. That we shouldn't see prasadam as ordinary food. Normally nobody's coming and offering you Mahaprasad at that time in the morning. But usually people would have their teeth brushed, but this was a rare case. So Lord Chaitanya was so appreciative that Sarvabhauma Acharya, he's now become so much a devotee. Then Lord Chaitanya focused on the glories of the prasad. He started saying, well, how is this prasad? And he asked. So this comes to like discussion. Here all the devotees are together discussing, well, what was your realization from taking this prasad? And so, well, I think it's really great. I think that this prasad is like out of this world. But what, then Lord Chaitanya said, what is it? It's just a nut. I mean, what's special? I mean, we have nuts all the time. So, a cashew is nothing very special. Why do you feel it's so much out of this world? And then, they said, because this, even though it may, whatever it might be, it's a simple preparation, but it was touched by the lotus lips of Lord Krishna. So therefore the nectar of Krishna's lotus lips are mixed with it. So that special quality that you're tasting is the nectar from Krishna's lotus lips. So like this, devotees amongst themselves, they could discuss and come to so many nice realizations. Srila Prabhupada would call devotees and they'd have a discussion. He'd say, what do you think about this? Especially in Mayapur, he would often say, I want all GBCs and sannyasis. At that time I wasn't a GBC. Until 1977 I was just a temple president and a sannyasi. So, but as he put in and sannyasi, so we get called in the room. And different things he would ask us to discuss something. But then Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he was, that time he was Ganasham. Prabhupada said he's going to go to Eastern Europe and Russia, to Soviet Union those days, so for a library program, selling books in the library, and I want you all to give him your blessings. And we said, Prabhupada, when you're here, what blessings can we give? I mean, who are we? We're just insignificant. Your blessing is more than enough. But then Srila Prabhupada said, no, you're all dear to Krishna, and Krishna, if you ask Krishna to bless you, then Krishna will listen to you. So Prabhupada was also being so, what is the quality? Meekness or pridelessness or humbleness? He wanted to get extra blessings to this devotee who was going to distribute books in a very dangerous place at that time. Undercover book distribution. Sometimes we discuss, call everybody in and said that this thing has happened, that thing has happened. I don't remember all the things that happened now, but remember he would ask for get people's opinion, discuss it, and he would preach to us about the topic. give the final verdict. Sometimes he would agree with what people were saying. Yeah, that's a good idea, we'll do that. See? Dancing should correspond to the devotee's spontaneous emotion. I think we've all seen, like in the Harinam and some French Quarter in New Orleans, you see sometimes some drunk comes out and tries to imitate the emotion of the devotees. Doesn't quite make it. Everybody can see it's very unnatural. I remember when I first went to India, one time we were invited to go to one supporter's house for a program. That time Prabhupada wasn't there at the program. This is maybe the early 70s, like 71 or 70. But all of a sudden, in the middle of that program, the host came out in the middle of the room and started to do it seemed like what do you call it, soliloquy, like a one-man drama. Krishna, oh Krishna, you come to my heart, oh Krishna. And he started paying his obeisances and doing all kinds of things. He was looking at Krishna right there, and crying and touching his feet and so many things. Like all the devotees are looking, what's going on here? And one by one, everybody left the room. When they didn't have an audience anymore, then Krishna also disappeared.